In today's show, President Trump rolls back a big Biden-era rule. Wikipedia reveals its most read pages of the year, and an 88-year-old veteran's story touches millions. Plus, new polls show a surprising shakeup in the early 2028 Republican field, why nearly 3,000 trucking schools are suddenly at risk of losing federal accreditation, and a new report says colleges are sounding the alarm over freshmen who can't do simple arithmetic. We'll get into all of it. And here's today's trivia question. Why are fire hydrants different colors? I'll tell you at the end of the show. It's Thursday, December 4th. This is the Flyover Podcast. Welcome to the Flyover Podcast, taking you above the noise for an unbiased, high-altitude view of today's headlines with daily coverage that's honest and refreshing. Let's cruise the news and land the facts. Happy Thursday and welcome to the Flyover Podcast. If you are a loyal reader of the Flyover email edition, we appreciate you and happy that you're also getting your news in podcast form. All right, let's take off with the biggest headlines of the day. President Trump says he's rolling back fuel economy standards that were set under the Biden administration. Those rules were supposed to push new cars to hit 50.4 miles per gallon by 2031. But Trump announced Wednesday that he's lowering that target to about 34.5 mpg instead. The administration says this change will save American families about $109 billion over 5 years, and they're framing it as a cost-cutting reset that could knock $900 to $1,200 off the sticker price of new gas-powered cars. Trump called the Biden-era requirements unrealistic and said people deserve more affordable options that better reflect how Americans actually drive. And the heads of Ford and Stellantis were at the announcement, praising the shift as something more in line with real market demand. Wikipedia just released its names of the most read articles of 2025, and at the very top is the page for conservative and Christian activist Charlie Kirk. His profile drew nearly 45 million views this year, driven largely by searches after his public assassination at a university debate in September. About 15 million of those views happened the day after his death, when roughly 170 people per second were clicking on the page, and nearly half of that traffic came from outside the U.S. The annual Deaths in 2025 page came in second with 42.5 million views, and it has never ranked lower than third in the 11 years Wikipedia has tracked these lists. Readers spent an estimated 2.4 billion hours on English Wikipedia articles this year, and serial killer Ed Gein came in third with more than 31 million views, I'm sure thanks to Netflix's latest season of Monster. And President Trump ranked fourth with 25.1 million views, marking his eighth appearance on the top read list since 2015. Others in the top 10 include Elon Musk, New York City Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani, and Ozzy Osbourne, who died in July. And a heartwarming one, an 88-year-old Army veteran in Michigan has raised $1.3 million after sharing that he's still working full-time because he lost his pension. His name is Ed Bambus, and he works at a Meijer grocery store in Brighton. Influencer Samuel Weidenhofer happened to meet him while filming random acts of kindness, heard his story, and posted a video that went viral. Bambus retired from GM back in 1999, but lost his pension and benefits after the company's bankruptcy. And after his wife passed away, he returned to work full-time just to make ends meet. Now, thanks to strangers online, he may finally be able to retire for good. His fundraiser has already brought in $1.3 million and climbing. Oh, that makes me smile. Here are your top political headlines. President Trump says he's throwing out every document that former President Joe Biden signed using an auto pen, including pardons issued to family members and government officials, arguing those signatures aren't valid. If you'd like more information on this story, you can find it in the show notes. Rep. Henry K.R. of Texas says he will run for re-election as a Democrat just one day after President Trump pardoned him. K.R. had been indicted back in 2024 on federal bribery and money laundering charges, but Trump's pardon now clears the way for him to stay in the race. Federal agents have launched a new immigration enforcement effort in New Orleans called Operation Catahoula Crunch. So officials say the operation is aimed at what they describe as, quote, criminal illegal aliens roaming free thanks to sanctuary policies. That announcement came Wednesday as federal authorities signaled they're taking a more aggressive approach in certain cities. And in Minnesota, federal immigration raids were underway Wednesday across the Twin Cities, where officials say they're ramping up investigations into a $1 billion COVID aid fraud network tied to Somali-run nonprofits. Authorities say the raids are part of a broader crackdown on pandemic relief fraud that has led to dozens of charges over the past 2 years. Here's Podcast Extra. New polling suggests the early landscape for the 2028 Republican primary may be shifting. A survey from McLaughlin and Associates shows Vice President J.D. Vance's favorability slipping to 34%, while Donald Trump Jr. has been climbing steadily and now sits just 10 points behind him. He is currently second among potential Republican candidates. However, a separate YouGov poll from earlier in November gave Vance a commanding lead and showed far less of an interest for Trump Jr. as a nominee. With the Republican primary still more than 2 years away, these polls are less a forecast and more an early snapshot of where party sentiment stands today. The Department of Transportation is threatening to revoke accreditation from nearly 3,000 trucking schools, with another 4,000 warned they could be next if they don't meet federal training standards. Officials say these programs, which make up more than 40% of all authorized providers, failed to meet curriculum requirements or falsified training records. The push comes after several high-profile crashes raised concerns about unsafe training pipelines and inconsistent oversight. Critics argue the crackdown resembles an immigration sweep, while industry voices counter that poorly run schools, regardless of who they serve, put unprepared drivers on the road. And a new report shows that Gen Z freshmen are arriving on campus without the math skills colleges expect. UC San Diego has seen a surge in students who struggle with even basic arithmetic. Faculty describe the incoming class as increasingly unprepared. Experts suggest a mix of pandemic disruptions, grade inflation, and shifting admissions practices may be feeding that problem. They note that rising graduation rates and falling SAT scores suggest students are earning diplomas without the skills to match. So my question to you, and you have to be honest, and let me know in the comments section, how are you at math? I've always been pretty bad at it, I'm not going to lie. But still to come, a major cheese recall, a 5-star quarterback flipping schools at the last minute, and a drunk raccoon in Virginia broke into a liquor store and passed out in the bathroom. Seriously, it's all ahead on the Flyover podcast. But first, thanks to our sponsor, Cozy Earth. You know, December always feels a little chaotic. The rushing, the wrapping, the running around, like, oh, it's so stressful. But at the end of the day, the moment I look forward to the most is slowing down and getting cozy and just being present. And that's where exactly Cozy Earth comes into my life. Their bamboo sheets made from viscose from bamboo have been such a game changer for me. They're so incredibly soft and somehow keep you warm without overheating. You know how sometimes that can happen to you? I swear I sleep a few degrees cooler. And their bubble cuddle blanket, it has become my favorite, literally, throw for the movies and the plush texture that it comes with. It feels like it's the biggest hug you've ever felt. And it's the kind of gift that feels more like an experience than a product. You know, those kind of gifts. Everything from Cozy Earth comes with a 100-night sleep trial and a 10-year warranty. So it's completely risk-free. If you want to give the gift of everyday luxury this holiday season, head to CozyEarth.com and use my code FLYOVER for up to 40% off. Just order by December 12th for guaranteed Christmas delivery. Listening after the 12th, no worries. The code still works year-round for 20% off. And if you get a post-purchase survey, make sure you mention that you heard about Cozy Earth right here on the Flyover podcast. Give the gift of comfort that lasts far beyond the holidays and into a very cozy new year. And did I mention they also have clothing? I am wearing a Cozy Earth t-shirt right now, and it is extremely comfortable. I love it so much. In finance, let's start in California. San Francisco officials have filed a major lawsuit against Kraft, Mondelez, Coca-Cola, and several other processed food companies. The city is accusing them of harming residents with addictive, unhealthy products and says the companies violated state laws on public nuisance and deceptive marketing. And the FDA is urging shoppers to double-check their shredded cheese. An Ohio-based company has recalled about 1.5 million bags of shredded cheese products across 31 states because they may contain metal fragments. The full list of impacted products is linked in the show notes. President Trump said Tuesday he's looking at whether the U.S. should adopt Australia's mandatory retirement savings system. That model requires employers to automatically contribute 12% of a worker's paycheck into a locked retirement account, essentially a national employer-funded savings plan. And here is your stock market update. The markets closed mostly higher on Wednesday. The Nasdaq inched up to 0.17%. The S&P 500 rose 0.30%, and the Dow climbed nearly a full percent. Bitcoin is also up 1.85%, now over 93,000, while gold dipped slightly to $4,238 an ounce. The day's big mover was American Eagle, which jumped 15% after the company reported fourth quarter sales that blew past analyst expectations. The boost comes just weeks after controversy over its Sydney Sweeney jeans ad, which had briefly shaken investor confidence. In sports, high school football recruits from all over the country made things official yesterday during National Signing Day. Top quarterback recruit Jared Curtis shocked everyone by flipping from Georgia to Vanderbilt on signing day. LSU commit Lamar Brown is delaying his decision until winter after the firing of Brian Kelly. The early signing period ends tomorrow. But in college hoops, number 4 Duke pulled off a dramatic win over number 15 Florida with a game winner from Isaiah Evans. He knocked it down with just 19 seconds left. Freshman Cam Boozer led everyone with 29 points. And speaking of basketball, the Los Angeles Clippers abruptly cut veteran point guard Chris Paul early Wednesday morning amid a disappointing 5-16 start to the season. The decision, made around 3 o'clock in the morning during a road trip and confirmed by the team, ends what was supposed to be Paul's final NBA season with the Clippers. Despite his diminished role this year, Paul remains one of the league's all-time greats, ranking second in NBA history in both assists and steals. In science and tech, the shingles vaccine may be doing more than preventing a painful rash. A new Stanford University study found it actually reduced the risk of dementia by about 20% in vaccinated adults, and for people who already had dementia, the vaccine appeared to slow disease progression. China's first reusable rocket, the Zhuque-3, had a big debut this week. It successfully reached orbit on its maiden flight Wednesday, but the celebration didn't last long. The rocket exploded in a dramatic fireball during landing when its first stage booster lost an engine mid-burn and came down near the recovery pad. And divers off Bali caught an incredible moment on camera. An electric blue ribbon eel gliding through the water near a popular diving spot. These eels are rarely seen and known for their vibrant neon blue coloring, so the sighting turned into a bit of a local highlight. I know you want to hear about the raccoon. We have finally gotten to that story. In Virginia, a raccoon made headlines after it was found passed out in the bathroom of a liquor store in Ashland. Officials say it had ransacked the shelves and sampled multiple types of alcohol. And after sobering up for a few hours, the, quote, very intoxicated raccoon was released back into the wild. And if you have been on social media, I'm sure you have seen plenty of memes regarding that raccoon. Next, a new Instagram trend is blurring the line between real and fake. Influencers are now adding AI-generated animals like deer, tigers, and Dalmatians into their photos. The trend looks whimsical, but it's also raising new questions about authenticity online. And in New York, a townhouse with an 83-foot transparent rock climbing wall, which may be the world's tallest private climbing wall, just hit the market for $20 million. The 1925 home was renovated over a decade by an architect who turned it into a luxury showpiece. You can check out the townhouse in the show notes below. It's pretty cool. Here's the results of yesterday's poll question. Do you check the expiration date on food before you buy it? 44% said yes, 32% said sometimes, 15% said no, and 9% said only before I eat it. Thanks to everyone who voted. And here's today's poll question. Does tinsel belong on a Christmas tree? Either yes, no, or only if you don't mind the mess. Oh, tinsel. I feel like nobody does tinsel on their trees anymore. I grew up with tinsel on my trees as a kid. I remember my dad would always put it on the tree and it would get everywhere, but we loved it. It was so fun to look at. But now as an adult, I haven't seen tinsel in a single store. So I'm going to vote no. What about you? You can vote in the show notes and I will read the answers in tomorrow's Friday show. Here's the trivia question. Why are fire hydrants different colors? I have never thought about this personally, but fire hydrant colors actually reveal how much water they can pump. So cities use color-coded tops and nozzle caps to firefighters so they can instantly know a hydrant's water flow strength. So if you're interested, here's what each color means. Red is less than 500 gallons per minute, and that's the lowest flow. Orange fire hydrant is 500 to 999 GPM. Green is 1,000 to 1,499 GPM. Blue is 1,500 plus GPM, and that one is the highest flow. So it's a quick visual system that helps these firefighters pick the best hydrant in an emergency. I hope you learned something new today. I'm going to have to tell that to my 3-year-old son, who told me 2 nights ago that he wants to be a firefighter when he grows up. So he'll find that very interesting. But for you, thank you so much for tuning into the Flyover podcast. I will keep reminding about our Flyover gift guide. The team here at the Flyover picked our favorite gifts that we think that you and your loved ones will love. You can find it at theflyovergiftguide.com. I've also linked it in the show notes if you've forgotten. By the way, I will see you tomorrow for more headlines. And can you believe it? It's almost the end of the week. Until then, thanks for flying with us.